You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro. Joining us today, Mr. Michael Borg. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Thursday, 27th day of October, 2022. Thanks so much for joining us. Whoever you are, wherever you are, we're just glad to have you right here, right now. We do 2 live broadcasts every trading day. The first live broadcast is from 9:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Eastern. That is our live training room, and of course is reserved for members only and those who are taking their 1-week free trial. If you've not taken your 1-week free trial, in a few minutes, Michael will show you exactly how to do it with a mouse click. Now, at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we take a 30-minute break. Then we come back at 12 noon Eastern to do the afternoon broadcast. The afternoon broadcast is open to the public. Everybody, everywhere on planet Earth with an internet connection. Now, there's 2 ways to join the afternoon broadcast. One a little better than the other. Let me give you the better way first. Go to mytradingiq.com. Scroll down to where it says afternoon broadcast. Click the link. Complete the 30-second registration form. And then every trading day going forward, you'll get an email before this broadcast starts. And all you have to do is click the link in the email, and it will automatically log you into our platform. Again, you don't have to be a member. You don't have to be on a free trial to enjoy the afternoon broadcast. Now, there will be days you're out of the office, away from your desktop, on vacation, traveling, whatever, but you still want to join the afternoon broadcast live in real time. Not a problem. Grab any internet-connected device, a phone, a tablet, a PC, a Mac. Point the browser to youtube.com/CFRN. Easy to remember, youtube.com/CFRN. Not only do we broadcast live every day, every trading day on our YouTube channel, we also archive each and every daily live broadcast. Currently, there are over 2,100 daily broadcasts archived for your educational and viewing pleasure. Now, if you're new to the world of CFRN, one of the best ways, one of the fastest ways to get to know who we are not only today, but 6 weeks ago, 6 months ago, a year ago, 2 years ago. Just scroll back as far as you want and pick a day at random and listen. Compare that to what you hear today and you'll realize nothing much has changed. It's not broke. Don't tinker with it because you just might break it. Okay? So we continue to do what we've always done because what we do is based upon the underlying principles upon which markets operate. So, with that said, we're going to open with a word of prayer as we do. Now, 2 weeks ago we talked about man's anxiety over money. Last week we talked about God's view of money. So this week we're talking about faith because that bridges the gap between your anxiety and God's view. Of course, we're in Hebrews 11 all week. Our scripture today, Hebrews 11:8 and 9. By faith, Abraham obeyed when he was called to go out to a place that he was to receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing where he was going. But by faith, he went to live in the land of promise, as in a foreign land, living in tents with Isaac and Jacob, heirs with him of the same promise. Now, one of the Bible's greatest heroes, Abraham, one man who walked the same earth that you and I do, yet today, more than half the world's 8 billion people look to him as the father of their faith. Jews, Christians, Muslims, all look to Abraham. So let's find out where faith fit into his story in Hebrews 11 with the scripture that I just shared with you. If you want to study it on your own, again, it's Hebrews 11 verses 8 and 9. Today, faith steps into action as we consider the story of Abraham. There's a beauty and simplicity to faith here. Abraham heard, and he believed, so he obeyed. God said, "Go," and he went. Here we see two basic aspects to faith: belief and action. Now, this belief is more than simply thinking that a thing is true. Believing in God involves trust. And action isn't simply acting the way I think God would want me to. Hang on a second, I'm sorry. Hang on one second, guys. Let me pick up where I left off. Action isn't simply acting the way I think God would want me to. It involves hearing from God and doing what He says. So belief and action might better be put in verb form as trust and obey. It's simply not enough to say, "I believe in God." There must be some steps taken. With every faith hero, we see a common story. A situation where they can't see the road ahead. A word from God with a direction and a promise of reward, and finally, obedience, or better put, a step of faith. You see, faith is not what you believe, it's what you do with what you believe. Now, yesterday we mentioned Richard Wurmbrand, and we said today we would share who he was. Now, one of his famous quotes, "Famous is never passive. It demands a response. It asks for a mission." Wurmbrand himself asked for a mission, and he certainly got one. Now, remember, he was the young atheist who prayed and wandered into a small village. Well, turns out he became a pastor. During World War II, he and his wife Sabina evangelized the occupying German forces in Romania. Pretty risky stuff for a couple of Jewish Christians evangelizing to Nazis. And yet we're afraid to knock on our neighbor's door and invite them to church. But that's a story for another day. They also preached in bomb shelters and rescued Jewish children from the ghettos. They were repeatedly arrested and beaten and nearly executed. Sabina lost her Jewish family to the concentration camps, yet she continued to share the love of Christ with the Nazis. When the war ended, the Nazis moved out and the communists moved in. 1,000,000 Russian troops poured into Romania, and the Wurmbrands boldly evangelized to those soldiers while faithfully serving their oppressed countrymen. Yet on February 29, 1948, the secret police kidnapped Pastor Wurmbrand and put him in a solitary cell. Sabina was also arrested, and together they served a combined 17 years, locked up for their Christian faith. Now, you go, well, that's 1948. My friends, this is still happening today all over the world. Upon their release, they went right back to preaching Christ. Their story is amazing, and it's captured in the book and now the movie, Tortured for Christ. As you follow their story, you find yourself longing for the happy ending. And rest assured, the story of believers like that ends very happily. Yet in the midst of it, that ending can seem to be a long way off. And that brings us back to Hebrews 11 and something that so many of our faith heroes had in common. They were pilgrims. Not like buckle hats and Thanksgiving dinner, but pilgrims as in immigrants, God's wanderers. Only these wanderers that we're talking about have a destination. No permanent address in this world, just tents. That was life for Abraham and Isaac and Jacob after him. They had the promise of a land that would be their own, but they lived as strangers. Now, Hebrews 11 verse 10 explains this about Abraham. For he was looking forward to the city that has foundations, whose designer and builder is God. I love that. Notice that he was looking forward. Faith is not blind. Faith sees more. The worldly man sees only today. The pain or pleasure of the moment fills their reality, and they accuse the Christian of not living in reality. Yet a believer sees the present reality just fine, but they do not focus there. In faith, they look forward. They see further ahead and trust in what God has promised. And when the suffering of the present sets in contrast against the glory of the future, the two are hardly worth comparing. Regret looks back. Frustration looks around. But faith looks forward. Faith fixes our gaze on God's promises and moves us ahead in anticipation, in hope. As for Abraham and Sarah, when the promise for descendants came, they had no kids. But what they did have was a word from God. Verse 11, considered him faithful who had made the promise. And that gets us to the very heart of godly faith. See, your faith is only as good as that which you put your faith in. Faith in your own abilities will take you as far as your own abilities can. Faith in the situation or faith in the system, well, they don't work if the system is broken. We should all be familiar with that. And faith in the power of faith, well, that sounds positive, but it's really just an empty circle. Faith, godly faith, is not simply the power of my belief. It is my view of God and my trust in His power. Look again at verse 11. They considered him faithful. We make a mistake when we treat faith as if it's a power unto itself. Faith is not a power like in that video, The Secret. It's a decision. When you hear God's word and God's promise, and you decide to believe because you consider Him faithful, that's true faith. And it connects you to His power and allows you to rest in Him. Pray with me. Heavenly Father, sometimes we just feel like all of our strength is gone. We grow weary. We see the things happening around us in the world. But your word says that we can do all things through Christ who strengthens us. So today, God, we ask that you give us your strength. Not physical strength, but the power to move mountains that flow from faith in Jesus. Help us to depend on you to do what we think we cannot do. Let your strength alone sustain us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. And everybody
Amen.
said amen. All right, let me give you the numbers real quick here from around the world. Going to start in the U.S. with the cash markets, or the indices as they're called. And again today we got a mixed bag, okay? We like to see the four major indices either all green or all red, because that creates some great trading opportunities, but the markets are divided. The Dow's up 361 points, over 1%. The NASDAQ is down 102, almost 1%. S&P 500 down just 2 points. But our man in the street, the Russell 2000, is up 20 points, almost 1.25%. So the Dow and the Russell in the green, NASDAQ, S&P, and the red. In the commodity basket, crude oil up $1.53, trading 89.44 last. That's a gain of almost 2%. Gold down $3, trading 16.6620 last. Silver up 2 cents, trading 19.51 last. In the Asian markets at the close, the Nikkei fell 86 points, the Shanghai down 16, the Hang Seng gained 110. And in the European markets at the close, FTSE up 17, DAX up 15, CAC down 32. So that gives us a mixed day in Asia, a mixed day in the UK, and so far it's a mixed Radio Thursday here in the US of A. So with that, we'll go to Michael and get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room this morning. Then I'll come back and we'll talk about the logic alerts, the concierge trade alerts, and at any point during the broadcast, if you have a question, type it in the question box. We'll be happy to answer it for you. I can see your screens, so it's all yours.
All right, here we go. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Thursday, the 27th day of October, 2022. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us yet, then go here to mytradingiq.com. Right here it says grab a seat. 5 days of training and trading. Click on that. It's going to bring you to this page. Now, on this page, I actually changed the text on this page a little bit last night. This text right in here says, once you sign up for the trial through this page, it also says to go back to this page, which is going to redirect you to, and check out the platforms, download whatever platform you use, look at the trade handout and the videos, so you'll be ready for the trial, okay? That will prepare you to be ready for the trial that you just signed up for. The recaps. Now, if you're going to read the recaps, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. We had a challenging day today, but we'll get right into that. Today is the 27th day of October, 2022. We lost 6 ticks in crude, made 22 ticks in gold, and 18 ticks on the ES, put us at plus 385 on the morning session. Today, it took 37 minutes. That's the longest day this month, I think. It is. 37 minutes and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. That's like all the last 3 weeks added up. And 10 trades. It's also all the last 3 weeks worth of trades added up. To get to the goal for the day. We took a total of 21 trades this morning. So that puts us at $17,707 on the month. It's over 19 trading days, averaging $931 per contract per 2-hour trading day. We've now gone 204 out of 204 days of getting our goal, and we've gone 265 days since our last negative day in the room. You know, even that day, we did get our goal on that day. I just gave it back, and I didn't have enough time to make it back. On the year now, we're at $206,988. We're so close to hitting 207. That puts us at $1,014 per contract per 2-hour trading day average on the year. Now I'm getting down there again. I want to get that back up over 1,020. Hopefully by the end of the month. I know we have 2 days left of this month. Hopefully we'll be able to do that. Anyway, that's it. Your mic is left. Let's get into the actual trade setups. Hang on a second. Let me just help him right now.
Muted.
Okay. All right, let's get into the actual trades now. On gold, on every market, we started out with a stop out, but we'll start here with gold. Our very first trade on gold was a stop out, and we're minus 10 ticks there. The next trade we took, we got 12 ticks profit, and that put us at plus 2. One after that, we got 6 ticks, put us at plus 8. Then we had 9 ticks right there that got us to 17, and 5 ticks there to get us to 22. And that was where we ended it with gold. There were a couple more trades in here that I missed. One there, one there, one there, one there. And during the break, there were red off for red. Right in here, a couple of red off for red right there that I missed. So gold was actually, now, except for the start out right at the beginning, the stop out right at the beginning of the day, it was really good. You know, gold behaved really well today. If I'd have traded just gold, I'd have been golden. Get it? I know that was shameless. I'm actually short in gold right now from a ways back. You see that? From a ways back. And I locked in a little bit of profit on that. That's way back over here. Now, yeah, crude oil. I'm still laughing about my pun. Did I get anything about that? All right. Our first trade here on crude oil, we stopped out on that one too. That was pretty much to the tick. And then it moved up. We followed that up on crude with a 10-tick win right there. That got us to break even. Then we had a break even, a mistrade. And here we went from break even to plus 7. Then we stopped out again, put us at minus 3. Then we stopped out again, put us at minus 13. Then we had a plus 7 again and put us at minus 6. And that's where we ended it for the morning session. If I'd have gotten this one right here, I probably would have gotten positive on crude by the end of the session, but I didn't. As it turned out, there was one more short trade right in here, red off a red, that I missed during the break, and a blue right here that I didn't do during the break. This blue off a blue. Okay, so the crude, we ended up with a minus 6 after 6 trades, and there was opportunity to get positive on that. The gold, I think the gold right now, guys, for those of you who are watching it still right now, 63.5 is where it should go down to right now. Actually, that just changed. 63.3, 63.2, 63.2. That's I'm sticking with that one. 63.2 is where it should go down to right now. All right, so on the ES, we stopped out right here. Our first trade on the ES stopped us out to the tick. So we had 2 stop outs pretty much to the tick right at the beginning of the session, and then one that was just a total stop out. But on the ES, our first trade, we only got back 4 ticks right there. And then the one after that, we got back another 4 ticks. So we're at minus 2 at this point. And I missed this great trade right here. I know some of the guys got that trade right there, and they got their goal for the day on that one. Right here, I got this one that was +4. That got me to +2 overall. Missed a couple trades in there that would have done well. Then the ES, let me show you on the 30-minute. Okay, so on the 30-minute, this was the first bar right here on the 30-minute. Okay, and then when it was down here and it closed down here, I was saying look for it to get back up to here. And then when it got back up to there, I said, okay, look for it to get back up to here. When it got back up to there, I said, okay, now we're at a different place because we either got to move up, and the move up would have gotten us up to like 38.90 or something like that. Or it's going to turn around, it's going to go back down to here, the midpoint. And it did that. And then it was kind of tough because we didn't know what direction it was going to go in from there. And it doesn't look like it did either. And I think I was saying, I drew this down here at that time saying if it's going to go down, it should go down here. And you can see it's still working its way down there. Now, what do we do in here? Well, we started out with the stop out, then we got +4, +4, +4. So we had 3 +4s in a row. That got us to +2. Missed a few trades. We got into here. This was a woo spot that I was saying we might get halfway into before it gets rejected, and we didn't get quite halfway into it. It didn't really act like a woo spot either. Here we got 6 more ticks to get us to +8, then +10 right there to get us to 18, then a break even, and then another +10 to get us to 28. And then we stopped out, put us back down to 18, and we had a break even. That was where we ended it with the ES on the morning session. Now, during the break, you can see it dropped down quite a bit. There was one red off a red. Not really seeing any blue off a blue. I mean, there was a blue off a blue right here that would have given you a break even, but I wouldn't have done that. I wouldn't have advised doing that because we were just not trending right here. Okay, and it turned around and really didn't give anything through there. So we ended up with +18 on the morning session on the crude. Okay, and the gold just got down to that number that I told you about. Okay, on the downside, I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was looking at it on the dime at the time. I think it was 63.2 or something like that, but it just got there because it just hit my target and took me out of the trade. All right, so back here to the spreadsheet. Now, if you are going to read the spreadsheet, you got to read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. Today is the 27th day of October, 2022. We lost 6 ticks in crude, made 22 in gold, and we made 18 on the ES, put us at +385 in the morning session. Today, it took 37 minutes and 10 trades to get to the goal for the day. At that point, we're up $105 a contract, and we took a total of 21 trades. So on the month now, we're at $17,707. That's over 19 trading days, averaging $931 per contract per 2-hour trading day. On the year, we've gotten our goal for the day on 204 out of 204 days. And that puts us at $265. I'm sorry, $265. We've now gone 265 days since our last negative day. It puts us at $206,988.75 on the year, averaging $1,014 per contract per 2-hour trading day. Again, right here is just where you want to be. Right? You want to get in here where you're consistent enough to get your goal every day. Now, if you did quit trading when you got your goal and you added 1 contract a month, you'd be trading 10 contracts right now. We're going to switch to 11 contracts next week. Then you would now be at, you would have had to work a total of 33.21 hours on the year, and you would have averaged $4,476 per hour on the year. Okay. All right. Now, if you've not taken a free trial with us and you want to, go here to mytradingiq.com. Right here it says grab a seat for 5 days of trading and training. Click on that, and then down here it says join our noon session, recap the live trading and training alerts. Click here. When you click there, you're going to be brought to this page. This is going to change tomorrow. But fill out this little form and you'll be sent a link to get into the morning session. Okay. This is how to get into this session. This is how to get into the morning session and take the free trial. You click on this to get into the morning session and take the free trial. When you do that, you should come over here and check out the platforms, see if we got the one that you're using. If we do not have the one you're using, you should download DT Pro. Look at the trade handout. All right. check out the trade handout. Those are the rules that we're going to follow, and the ribbon. I'm sorry, the ribbon. Sorry, and the videos. Watch the videos. I just read the word ribbon somewhere. Watch the word videos. Again, I gotta slow down. Click on the word videos and watch some of these videos, and you will see what the room is like, so you'll know exactly what to expect when you get in the room. Okay. Whew. All right. There. With that, I can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona. It's
Unmuted.
South Mountain, America's largest city park. Dwayne, if you are ready.
Did I leave my mic open? I apologize.
You did. I muted it for you.
Okay.
It sounded like you were
Great.
having a conversation somewhere.
Was I?
You couldn't really hear it. I just
Okay.
you're
No.
distant.
No, I thought I did, but thanks for doing it. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Recap of the recap.
Today, 37 minutes and 10 trades to get to $105 per contract. Yes.
Good job. A good job, not only because you got your goal, but when things didn't roll out exactly the way you would hope, and I'm speaking to every person listening, okay? We all want one and done. We all want to sit down at our computer. We want to place a trade, get our goal for the day, and be done, okay? Well, some days it's just not going to play out that way. Some days it will. On the days it doesn't, don't let it rock your boat. Just keep doing exactly what you're supposed to do. Now, I heard Michael mention that on one of the ES trades, you guys stopped out for the full 7 ticks. On the next trade, he got 4 ticks back. Whereas many of us would have said, oh, market, you took 7 ticks from me. You must now give me 14 ticks to make up for the 7 you stole and the 7 I woke up to get, or whatever the case may be. You understand? Yeah, I know you do, but I hope everybody in the audience do not let getting stopped out is as much a part of trading as breathing is a part of life. It's going to happen. It happens to the best of the best. The difference between a retail trader and a professional trader is when a retail trader gets stopped out, it can ruin their day, destroy their life. They feel like they just got kicked in the gut by a mule. But a professional trader doesn't even bat an eye. He simply looks for the next opportunity as defined in his business plan and his trading plan. See, the difference between a retail trader and a professional trader does not have to do simply with account size. There's a lot more to it than that. Go ahead.
No,
You
I wasn't saying anything.
Oh,
No. I wasn't.
Okay.
No.
All right, guys, before we go, oh, I didn't take the charts.
Yeah, here, take the charts back.
I got to take the charts back.
This
is me taking the charts back. Yeah, I get the pop-up when you have a meeting. You get it too?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. All right. Okay. So now I got the charts back. But before I go into the logic alerts and the concierge alerts, I want to share with you what happened yesterday. Billionaire Elon Musk. What just happened?
I accidentally took him back, I think. Sorry about that.
I think you did. Okay.
I did.
No
I didn't mean to. I was trying to log off and I hit the wrong thing.
That's okay. At least you didn't shut it down.
No, I know. All right, there you go. I can see your charts. Now I'm going to go to
Billionaire Elon Musk visited Twitter's headquarters in San Francisco yesterday. The visit came a few days before Musk's deadline to complete his acquisition of the company, or else face new trial dates. A judge gave Musk until Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern to complete the deal after she postponed the original trial dates. Well, with just a few more days left to complete his acquisition of Twitter and restore free speech to the world and stave off a new court date, billionaire Elon Musk walked into the company's San Francisco office on Wednesday with what appeared to be a porcelain bathroom sink in his hands. And on camera, he said, "Entering Twitter HQ. Let that sink in. A person at the company confirmed to CNBC that really did happen. Guys, whatever you think about Elon, okay, he's not a right-winger. I don't think he's a left-winger. I think I don't know, he's kind of undefinable. But he's about to do something that is so important to the entire world. He's restoring free speech. We know that what we say on YouTube is censored. What we say on Facebook is censored. What we say on Twitter is censored, and it can get us canceled. It can get us banned. But that's all about to change. And some people in the media are trembling in their boots because they're not going to know how to handle this new world where free speech truly exists as our forefathers intended. So, just thought I'd share that nugget with you. Now, let's get on track. Logic 247, we're in week 221. Over those 221 weeks, we've issued over 12,000 individual handcrafted alerts with entries, initial targets, secondary targets, sometimes third and fourth targets, and a final trade to target. So far this week, since the markets opened Sunday night at 6 p.m. Eastern, we've issued 76 alerts so far. 11 never triggered. We're still waiting on the outcome of 8. So what we have so far is 57 actionable alerts, of which 14%, or 8 alerts, would have been stopped out based on not risking more than $300 per contract per trade, less when possible, based on market structure and a very simple 3-step process that we teach all of our passport holders. In order to be taught that, of course, you got to book a one-on-one mentoring session so that I can break it down for you. Because this is a public broadcast, and I'm not going to break it down here, of course. That's pretty evident. Now, I said yesterday, there's always 2 hallmarks to a great week. Well, first let me say that over the last 221 weeks, we've averaged 20% of the alerts being stopped out on that maximum $300 risk profile I explained, less when possible, okay, using the techniques that we teach them. And so, are we below 20%? We are. I also said that this number should always be 1/3 or less than this number. 5 times 3 is 15, which is significantly below this number. And so, by the grace of God, we're having an incredible week in Logic 247. The logic alerts come out around the clock. Could be 2 a.m. or 2 p.m. We have traders around the world. Our day session is their night session and vice versa. So the alerts go out as opportunity presents itself. That's what qualifies an alert to be posted. Number one, it has to be a trend trade, because if you go to the logic channel, over 12,000 individual alerts, every one a trend trade as defined by the 30-minute chart, price, and the BBC. Try to keep it pretty simple. Now, if you're new, you're probably going, no, wait a minute. Are you telling me that you're actually going to teach us how to trade and give us tradable opportunities while we learn? Bingo. The alerts are not designed for you to be able to just trade so you don't have to actually learn how to trade yourself. No. That would be a waste of time and treasure. The alerts are designed to show you ahead of time where there's a window of opportunity in the market. And they're sent out with enough advance notice that you can study the alert, study the chart, and over time you'll begin to see the windows of opportunity yourself. You want to become self-sufficient. You want to learn how to enter the market and exit the market without any man having to tell you so, or woman. You want the chart to tell you. And that's our goal, to help you become self-sufficient. But you got to have patience, you got to have self-discipline, you got to show up for class, you got to book one-on-one mentoring sessions, you got to ask questions during the workshop. Only then can we teach you what you came to learn. Okay? All right. Now, on top of those logic alerts, we also have our original alert service still, the concierge trade alerts. They differ in a couple different ways. Number one, they're based on historic price action. And when current price action meets historic price action, that's where you'll find some of your best high probability, low risk trading opportunities. The CTAs don't come out around the clock. They're posted as a static report shortly after the Globex open. So last night, the numbers came out at 6:10 p.m. Eastern. The numbers are good for the entire session. Once an alert triggers, there's a greater probability of it triggering multiple times than not triggering multiple times. Now, when they're first posted, whatever markets you trade, okay, we'll use the ES as an example. You immediately look to see where price is at that point in time. And then you draw a line in the sand here and a line in the sand here. If price starts trending up towards 38.68, that's bullish. So our strategy will look for opportunities to be long the market on the way to the CTA. On the other hand, if price starts trending down towards 38.23, that's bearish. So our strategy will look for opportunities to be short the market. In either case, that's where you use Logic 247 and everything you learn in the live training room every trading day to yourself find opportunities to be long or short the market. Now, you should initially look at these as targets. Once price reaches that number, reaches above it and pulls back, now you can look at it as an entry. Okay? As it hits the line, you can look at it as an entry. And when we go to the charts, I'll make this real clear for you. Okay? The CTA is first a target and then potentially an entry. But there's room every day to get your goal for the day on the way up to the CTA number or on the way down to the CTA number. And we cover all the same markets with the CTAs that we do with Logic 247. Okay? So let's head off to the charts. We'll start with the daily chart, where we always do. Why do we start with the daily chart? Because institutional traders look at daily charts, weekly charts, and monthly charts. The way you and I look at 30-minute charts, 5-minute charts, tick charts, and range charts. Why? Account size. Our accounts are typically denominated in thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, where their accounts, the hedge funds of the world, the Goldman Sachs, the institutional traders, their accounts are denominated in hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars. So they can stay in a drawdown far longer than you and I can. They can also stay with a profitable position far longer than you or I might be comfortable with. Okay? So we had a target upside, 38% reverse fib. We got close yesterday, but we failed. We came back to this. We had drawn fib extensions to see how low price might go. We did that based on this last leg down, from the high of the leg to the low of the leg to the retracement high, and it plotted all these downside numbers. 14th century math, nothing new. We did spike the 50% Fibonacci price extension, and in doing so, we put in a new low to the downtrend that began March 29th. We had a couple of attempts to break the downtrend. All three failed. Okay? And so we're back at a very important area here. The low of the session, of course, is support right at the step line. Below that, you have support at blue and climbing. The actual term is CFMA1. I refer to it as red and falling, blue and climbing. 1 is an indication to be on the lookout for lower prices. The other, higher prices. Resistance, support, that kind of thing. Okay. Now, so price has a lot of obstacles to overcome on the downside. Step line, blue and climbing, daily BBC, and the 24% reverse fib. If it can overcome all of those, then that should take us back to the 24% fib extension. And then possibly the 38, the 50, and the 62. I'm going to leave it at that for the daily chart for today. I post these charts throughout the day in the discussion group. I try to make them as self-explanatory as possible, but if you have a question, ask politely, and I'll answer it every time. Okay. 30-minute chart of the S&P. A sideways consolidated mess. The vertical line separates today, Thursday, from yesterday, Wednesday. Back here's Tuesday. Back here's Monday. Okay. So the market opened last night above the BBC. We got above the BBC, which means we're looking for higher prices. So once price got above the weekly trading zone at 3856/57, you had 11 points before you got to the CTA target. Price then pulled back to the BBC and ran to the target again. And then price got below the BBC. But notice how this pullback held and this pullback held. And then once we got below the BBC, this pullback held. Okay, pullback holds more often than not. And so there was a lot of back and forth. We had some important economic numbers come out today. The one I found humorous was the GDP number? Hang on. I have that right here. 830. Yeah, GDP, the anticipated was 2.4%, came in at 2.6%. So the administration on Capitol Hill is tooting their horn, but hang on. Inflation is at 40-plus year highs. That means everything costs more. So by nature, shouldn't that make the GDP higher? That's a false flag if I ever seen one. And I barely even know what that term means. But I just used it. They say if you use it 3 times in a day, you own it. So, I wish myself good luck with that. Okay. We did actually finally trade above the CTA after hitting the target 1, 2, 3 times. And we traveled up to 38.70.75. That's 2 3/4 points. Then we got below the BBC and Came right down to the target, 38.23. The low of this candle was actually 21.75, so there was like a point there. But remember, the 30-minute is your roadmap. These lines in the sand are forward guidance for the entire session. As long as price stays stuck between these two parameters, well, you've got to trade accordingly until the market either breaks, seriously breaks the CTA to the downside or to the long side. I hope by putting in that perspective it will help you, because you wait, man, I waited for hours for that thing to get to the CTA and then it didn't trigger. Well, why were you waiting? Why not using your smaller time frame, your 7-tick range, your 8-tick range, your 5-minute chart, whatever smaller time frame you choose to execute on? You had opportunity. Remember, the pullback to the BBC holds more often than it doesn't. Right up to the line. And then again, okay? And then get below the BBC, right down to the line. Okay, enough about the S&P. We'll go to the Dow. The Dow had no trigger on the short side. We opened above the weekly zone. Now remember, the markets are mixed today. We got 2 of the major indices in the red and 2 in the green. So we did make a run up to 32,065. And we ran up, I don't know, 7.30. Let's call it a stop out. Then we got rejected. Then we made another run. Made it up to 32,094. That's $150 per contract traded. Then we pulled back to the BBC, pulled back, holds, and it holds, and it holds. And so at 32,065, we travel up to 115. So that's about 50 points, $5 a point, $250 per contract traded. And then we dip back below the trigger. And this time it means business. From 32,065, we make it up to 32,400 at $5 a point. The swing high, 32,421. But getting out of the swing high or swing low only happens by luck, because you don't know it's the swing high until well after the fact. Same is true of a swing low. Okay? That's why it's important that you learn to read the chart and understand what price is attempting to do, because the market is always right. Our strategy, our indicators are not designed to outsmart the market or beat the market. Everything is designed to help you understand from a macro view to a micro view what the market is trying to do. And if you simply do what the market does, your trading will change forever, because again, the market is always right. So, yeah, we'll call this 32,100 to make the math simple. That's 300 points, $5 a point. $1,500 per contract traded if you've earned the right, and I mean earned the right to trade 10 contracts. Not because you have a lot of money from the business you retired from, but because you earned the right trading. You put together 10 days in sim where you got your goal, consecutive days in a row. Then you went live with one, increased your account balance by $2,000, used that profit to add a second contract, traded that until the blueprint said it's time to add contract number 3. The blueprint will tell you when it's time to add number 4, number 5, number 10. But you only add one at a time, and you only add with profit you earned in the market. If you have the patience and self-discipline to follow the 24/20 blueprint, it makes it extremely difficult to blow up another account. Not impossible, but you're going to have to break some rules. Now this $1,500 move, if you've earned the right to trade 10 contracts, is $15,000. Okay? But don't put the cart before the horse. It's awkward for both of them. Follow the blueprint as it's laid out, and right there is where people struggle. Well, I don't want to spend 10 days in sim. I've been at this for 10 years. Okay. Well, apparently whatever you did didn't work because you ended up here. If you continue to go down the same path, you'll always end up in the same place. That's a simple law of science, physics, whatever. You're going to have to do something different. If you can't stay out of the live market long enough to put together 10 consecutive days, you should probably start going to some of those gambling anonymous meetings because you have a gambling problem. This isn't gambling. This is about having a definable edge in a business based on probabilities and deploying that edge as it presents itself without jumping the gun, without hesitation, simply flowing with the market. Moving on to the Russell. Did I mention that once an alert triggers, it will often trigger multiple times? Okay. So we ran up to the target, plenty of room to get your goal for the day. Came back to the step line and another chance. Then we actually got above the CTA number and ran up to 1825.70. What is this number? 1824. So 25.70 is not quite 2 points. And then we had more of that and more of that. Then we finally got a decent move. Took us up to almost 27, almost 3 points, $150 per contract traded. We got below the BVC, but we ran into support. Where? Right where we would expect it. In fact, that's why the CTA short number is down here, because I fully expected this to be support until proven otherwise. And so should you. Okay, so we get a small move and then back below the trigger, and then we get a move. Now this move, this candle closes here, opens here, keeps going. So from 1824, we traded up to 39. That's 15 points at $50 a point. And then we get back below the trigger. Up we go again to 1836. That's 12 points at $50 a point. Back below the trigger. Up we go again. This time to 1835. It's 11 points, $50 a point. Back below the trigger, and once again, here we are at 1833. Couple false starts, but again, think of this line as a target until proven otherwise. And then we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 beautifully profitable moves. Now, 2 points a day out of the S&P is $100. But once you earn the right to trade 10 contracts, that's $1,000 a day. The Russell also pays $50 a point. 2 points is $100. Once you earn the right to trade 10 contracts, 2 points in the Russell is $1,000 a day. But if you follow the 24/20 blueprint, if you do everything right, it's going to take you probably a year to earn your right way up to 10 contracts. And if you're not willing to exhibit that kind of self-discipline, or can't exhibit that kind of self-discipline, we can help you with that to the best of our ability. We give you the tools, we give you the knowledge, okay? But the patience and the self-discipline, that's got to come from within. I hate to burst anyone's bubble, but not everybody's going to become a trader. Not everybody's going to play for the Yankees. We all learn how to play baseball the same way in grammar school. Why is it some of us go on to play college ball and then pro ball, and 99% of people don't? Is it the luck of the draw? Is it skill? It's dedication and discipline. It's you making a statement that I won't settle for less. So, anyway, in Q, market open, pulled up to the BBC and the weekly zone, and they held. When price rallies to a zone, we expect resistance. When it drops to a zone, we're looking for support. Back up to the zone, resistance. Back down, support. Once we get below, there's resistance, there's resistance, there's resistance. So you had all this room to get your goal before you even got to the CTA number. Now from 405, our first drop took us to 392. That's $260 per contract traded. Then we got back above the trigger and dropped again. This time to 11,366. Just call it 70. $700 per contract traded. Back above the trigger. This time about $800 per contract traded. Back above the trigger. This time we dropped to 11,263. That's over $2,000 per contract traded. And then we got back above the trigger. The pullback held here, 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 and here. And now we've dropped on this last trigger all the way down to 11,250. So that's 250, 300, 150, 20. That's $3,000 per contract traded. And we're still heading lower because what's price looking for? The zone. Price is always trying to get to a zone. If price is above the BBC, the green line, bull bear cross, it's trying to get to the zone above. If it's below the BBC, it's trying to get to the zone below. Okay? So, if you're short this move, 11,264 down to 11,250. That'd be 14 points at $20 a point. $280 per contract traded. But there is the potential on this move that we do go all the way to the zone. See how back on today's Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, we actually spiked it. Now these zones go out to our members Monday morning at 6:15 a.m. Eastern. We publish these zones for our members since December 14th of 2009. Only 3 things can happen when price encounters a zone. The most common thing is consolidation. Second most common, only about this is 70 to 75% of the time. Rejection about 20% of the time. And about 10% of the time, the slice. That's when price slices through a zone like it's not even there, like this candle did. When that happens, price typically will retrace back to the zone it sliced through, like it did right there, and then continue in the direction of the slice. Almost like painting by numbers. Boy, I was horrible at that as a kid. My grandmother bought me one. I was either really bad or a Picasso that no one ever recognized. I'm thinking I just wasn't a very good drawer. Okay, enough of that. 88.70 was the long CTA. Was there opportunity to get your goal on the way up? Yeah. Now, you don't want to go long here because you've got red and falling overhead. Got to overcome red and falling. In fact, let red and falling become blue and climbing. Leg, retrace, bang. Go over the day before you get to the CTA. However, we make the first time we get turned away. No problem. It was a target, remember. Second time, it becomes an entry. From 88.70, we go up to 89.66. That's just shy of $1,000 per contract traded. And then we get back below the trigger, and up we go again. This time to 89.79. That's $1,090 per contract traded. For the 10 contract trader, it's a 10 grand day. But you got to be willing to put in the time to get to that point. There's no get rich quick here. Okay? As some of our members posted last night in the discussion group, you got to be willing to do the work. Okay? Not going to just happen. There's no fairy godmother to wave her wand and poof, you're a trader. No. You got to learn how to trade. Period. It's required. Don't let anybody tell you different. Okay, on go. What do we have on go? Okay, the short CTA was 1664. Here's the open last night. We ran up to the zone, which we expect to be resistance till proven otherwise. Notice we have a high, a lower high, a lower high, and a lower high. Definition of a trend. Certainly you could draw a trend line right across there. From 1664, we dropped to 62.6, $140 per contract traded. We pull back to the BBC, and then we dropped from 64 down to 59, $500 per contract traded. Back above the trigger, down we go again to 1660, $400 per contract traded. Then back above the trigger, then $300 per contract traded. Then back above the trigger, then $200 per contract traded. Actually, that's 320. Right? Yeah. Now, the logic alerts are only available live in real time to our members and those on the free trial. However, once you become a member or while you're on the free trial, you can scroll back and see all 12,000 handcrafted individual alerts that we've issued over the last 220 something weeks. We may not be the fastest gun in town, but we are the most transparent. You may not always like what we say, but we'll always tell you the truth. Okay? That's important in this business. It's a supply-demand crisis. A lot of demand, very little supply. Moving on to silver. No long trigger, but we did trigger the short side. Now 2 pennies in price movement in silver. 2 pennies is $100. So from 1937, of course, yes, you had opportunity to get your goal for the day on the way to the CTA number. But once we got there, we dropped to 1928. $450 per contract traded. Back above the trigger. Down we go again. This time we dropped to 1926. So that'd be 11 pennies. $550 per contract traded. Then we get back above the trigger. However, what's changed in this picture? You see, when you're shorting, you want red and you got to be below the BBC, and you want red and falling. Well, we're still below the BBC, but red and falling is turned to blue and climbing. And you'll notice how that acted as support here and here. So when blue and climbing shows up, stop shorting or be very, very cautious. Keep that short on a very short leash. We get above the BBC. Beautiful move to the upside. And where do we find resistance? Same place we found it yesterday afternoon. Boom, 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 boom. Market has a memory. On to the euro. Market opens, we run to the target. Pull back to the zone, run to the target. Get below the BBC, but we don't make it to the target. We get back above the BBC. It was a very erratic morning. Ran to the target, pulled back, and actually triggered the target. Oh, I'm on the ES. I meant to go to the 6E. Hate it when that happens. Okay, 6E. From 720, we had a couple failed moves here. The question is, now from 720 we actually dropped to 675. So there was money to be made there, but not this kind of money, because we ran all the way to the target. 100 ticks. I'm sorry, 80 ticks. $100 per contract traded. We went from 720 to 105. That would be 600 ticks. Okay? And then we pulled back to the BBC, and the pullback held just like it held here. Just like it held here. Just like it held here. Okay? We get above the trigger. Down we go, and we hit the target again. Back to back. And today I actually have my line chart available for viewing. So, sorry guys that I haven't had it available the last couple of days, but I did especially for you. Okay. CTA long was 121.27. So we ran up to the target, spiked it a little bit, made it up to 121.31. Pull back to the BBC. Off we go again, and from 27 we make it all the way up to 22.20. It's a nice run for a bond trader. We did trigger the short CTA. There was, a little bit of money on this downside here. But was there money to be made on the way down to the target? Yeah. 121.09 to 120.31. That's your goal for the day. Okie doke. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this half as much as I have. Where are we on the chart? We got a daily doji, an inside day, and a doji. What happens next? I don't know. Now, I know there's lots of websites that tell you they do know what's going to happen next in the market. And I deeply apologize that they've lied to you. because it's not possible for man to know what's going to happen in the next moment in life, in business, or in the markets. There are too many variables. When God created Adam, He did not give Adam the ability to change the past or even know the future. And those two things are inextricably linked for eternity. Well, then why would I want a system that doesn't know what's going to happen next? Because such a thing doesn't exist. What you want is a system that gives you a firm idea of what the next high probability move is. And after over 12,000 Logic 247 alerts, we humbly admit that 20% on average do get stopped out because the order flow switches in the middle of a trade. And we realize we have no control over that, so we don't fret, we don't bang our head on the wall, we don't smash our monitor, just look for the next opportunity. It's a business based on probability. Our definable edge, our strategy, puts the probability in your favor once you learn how to use it, not jump the gun, not hesitate. Mark Douglas in Trading in the Zone said this: trading perfection is knowing what to do, when to do it, and then just doing it. Now, I really hate gambling analogies when it comes to the world of trading, because what we do is not gambling. It's the very opposite. But you see, in Vegas, the casinos, they're not gambling. Now, Joe from Idaho, he's gambling, but the casino's not gambling. Well, what do you mean? Well, here's what I mean. Those tall towers they build with all the bright lights and free cocktails and scantily clad cocktail waitresses, how do they afford all that? Because when they build the house, they put the odds, which we call probabilities, in their favor. So everybody that walks in the front door of a casino in Vegas knows the odds are stacked against them. And that's why the casino doesn't get weak knees when somebody wins a hand at poker or 100 hands at poker. Because they know over time they're going to be profitable. And they are. Extremely so. As a trader, you get to set the rules for your trade opportunities. What we provide you is the opportunity to use a definable edge, a tried and trusted strategy by thousands of traders. So you don't have to go out and reinvent the wheel. We got a wheel and it rolls just fine. So rather than trying to figure something out, why not use what we have verifiable proof already works just fine? I mean, that's the choice you get to make. If the choice you make is you want that definable edge, you want 2 hours of live training every trading day, you want unlimited one-on-one private mentoring, you want a methodology and strategy and indicator set that you can use on futures, individual stocks, crypto, forex. You like the idea of the Logic 247 alerts while you're learning how to spot the opportunities yourself. If you like the idea of the CTAs. If you like around-the-clock support, 24/7 via Telegram. This just might be the place for you. Now, when you take your 1-week free trial, you're kicking our tires. But just know that at the same time, we're kicking your tires. That's why we've managed to assemble such a group of nice people. Yeah, every now and then, we're human, but eminifuturestrading.com. That's where you buy your passport. It's a pretty simple web page, a couple mouse clicks, you're in. Lifetime membership, no recurring fees, no upsells, no new shiny objects to buy, ever. The passport is your all-access pass to everything we do, everything we've ever done, and whatever we do in the future. There are people in this audience today, I assure you, who have lost more money than what the passport costs. For life. Everything a trader needs, all under one roof, one low price. Let's close it out with our good word for the day. Yesterday we talked about fighting your fears with God's word. Gary asked, why are you running the ribbon on the bond chart and no other? Because I use an 8-tick range chart with the ribbon as my trigger chart. And so when I display the zones for those who trade bonds, I don't feel like taking the ribbon off and then having to put it back on. So that's the reason. The BBC, all those other lines, all I'm concerned about is the BBC, the green line. On your ribbon, if you want to change the color of your BBC back to the original green color, do it in the properties box. That's the only reason. Because as soon as this broadcast ends, I'm going to turn that chart with the ribbon back into an 8-tick range chart for the S&P so that I can trade any opportunities that present themselves this afternoon. But that's a great question, and I'm glad you asked. Okay. Good word for the day. You need adequate sleep. If you're hangry, you should never trade. Hangry? No. I got my acronyms wrong. HALT. Don't trade if you're hungry, angry, lonely, or tired. HALT. Hangry's something different. HALT. Proverbs 3:24. You will lie down and sleep soundly. So how are your sleep habits? They say that in America today, and probably around the world, that something like 70% of adults struggle with getting a good night's sleep without some kind of sleeping pills or something, which you wake up hungover with a brain fog. So that's kind of self-defeating. Do you go to bed at a certain time and get up at a certain time? Or do you allow events, people, deadlines, or other circumstances to dictate your sleep schedule? It's wise to allow yourself adequate time to wind down in order to sleep when you go to bed. We think of sleep as some passive process in which we drift off into oblivion and wake up several hours later well rested. But sleep is an active state. Metabolic and other restorative processes occur during the various stages of sleep. If we don't sleep long enough for our system to be rejuvenated, we find ourselves irritated by the smallest things, and we tend to overeat. Excess hunger is our body's cry for the energy that was supposed to be supplied by a good night's sleep. David said, In Psalm 4, verse 8. I will both lie down in peace and sleep. For you alone, O Lord, make me dwell in safety. It's hard to sleep when you have pressing matters on your mind. So if you want to lie down in peace and sleep, give your worries to God and trust Him to take care of them. Don't just say you trust Him, trust Him. Huge difference. If you're unable to, try this. Get a small box with a lid. Write down what's bothering you and put it in the box, put the lid on it, and set it up on a shelf in your wardrobe. By that simple act of faith, you're saying, Lord, I'm giving this to you. When I awaken tomorrow, you will give me the strength and wisdom to deal with it. If you'll try it, it works. When you go to bed, you've got to get rid of the distractions, okay? Staring at your phone or your tablet, that blue light, it's going to ruin your sleep. Not saying you can't fall asleep listening to a podcast or the Daily Audio Bible, okay? But don't be staring at that screen that has that blue light. So that's really going to hurt your sleep. But when you come into the office every day to trade, whatever's worrying you, whatever's troubling you, if you need to, put a little wicker basket outside your office door and stand there for a minute and put all those troubles and worries in that basket. I promise you, when you're done trading, all that stuff, that junk, will be waiting for you where you left it. The only difference is because you traded with a clean mind, a clear mind, a peaceful mind. I know money doesn't buy happiness, but it can solve an awful lot of problems. So if any of the problems that you're dealing with have to do with financial issues, the last thing you want to do is be stressed out, taking doctor's calls, checking your Facebook, reading your email while you're trying to trade. You only need 2 points a day. That doesn't take a long time, okay? I know you can get stopped out on the first trade and the second and the third. And so now maybe you have an 8-hour workday ahead of you. Be prepared for an 8-hour workday every day. And on the days you get off the hook with 15 minutes, go do something meaningful. Don't sit and stare at the charts. That's our good word for the day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading E-mini futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.